You ever get that feeling like you're trying to, I don't know, orchestrate everyone else's life? Their choices, their moods, even their reactions?
Oh, absolutely.
It can leave you feeling totally drained, right? Like you're constantly pushing against something.
Completely exhausted.
Well, what if there was a way to maybe reclaim some of that energy, find a little more peace in all that chaos?
That's exactly where this idea, the let them theory, comes in.
Mhm.
It offers a surprisingly simple but really effective shift in perspective.
Exactly. And that's what we're diving into today. Our mission is to really unpack this let them theory,
Oh.
explore how you can actually use it in your daily life, whether it's like tricky family stuff, dealing with everyday stress, or even just looking for some personal growth.
Hmm.
Okay, let's get right to it then. What's the absolute core idea behind let them?
Well, at its heart, the let them theory is about consciously releasing that urge to control what other people think or feel or do.
The urge, yeah.
It's about recognizing that trying to manage someone else's inner world or, their decisions, it's often just an exercise in futility.
Okay, but the name let them, it might sound a little dismissive, maybe. Is it about just tuning people out?
No, not at all. That's a really important distinction.
Yeah.
It's not about indifference or like neglecting your relationships.
Right.
Instead, it's about intentionally detaching from that constant need to manage or dictate how others experience things. The focus really shifts.
Gotcha. And there's this story that keeps popping up in the materials about how this idea really clicked for the person who came up with it.
Yeah.
Involves a high school prom.
Yes, the prom anecdote. It really seems to be the pivotal moment. We see it mentioned in a chat with Lewis Howes. Jay Shetty talks about it. It's on her own channel, and it's in the audiobook bits, too. It's a perfect example of that aha moment.
Okay. So paint the picture. What happened on prom night?
So, the story is about the author's son, Oakley,
Huh.
and his, let's say, very relaxed approach to prom. After dealing with her daughter's proms, which were more involved, she thought the son's would be simpler.
Famous last words.
Right. But then Oakley decides to go just 2 days before. So cue the mad dash for a tux, these specific Adidas shoes he wanted, finding a date,
Oh, wow. Last minute.
Gary. Then, the night itself, it starts pouring rain.
Oh, boy. Formal wear, rain.
Eh.
Sounds like a recipe for stress.
It gets better,
Mm.
or worse, depending on your view. She asks about dinner plans, and Oakley's just like, oh, we don't have any.
What?
Yeah. So the author understandably starts feeling that stress creep in. She tries to get reservations. Other parents are calling around. Nothing's available. Oakley's brilliant solution: a taco stand downtown,
Okay, a taco stand.
outdoors, in the pouring rain. With like 20 teenagers in tuxes and dresses.
Oh, my goodness. The stress. I can just feel the author's internal alarms blasting.
Exactly. She's worrying about the rain, the outfits, the lack of shelter at this taco stand.
Yeah.
And that's when her daughter, Kendall, just keeps saying very calmly, Mom, let him.
Just let him.
Yeah. Every time the author raises a concern, let him go to the taco stand. Let them get rained on. Let his shoes get ruined. Just let him.
And that simple phrase actually worked.
Apparently, it was huge. The author describes it like her whole body just relaxed. She suddenly realized she was way more invested in his prom experience than he was.
Yeah.
It brought this sense of detachment, this wave of peace, made her think, why am I so worried about where they eat dinner?
It's amazing how often we get tangled up in details that aren't really ours to manage, isn't it? So, okay, this prom night revelation sparks let them. But why do we even do that? Why do we try to control things so much? What's behind it?
Well, there's some fundamental human needs at play. Our sources point to this core desire we all have to feel safe and in control.
Okay, safety and control. Makes sense.
Yeah, and this can show up as needing to direct our own choices, sure, but also our environment, even the people around us. It's like we're trying to build this bubble of security.
And psychologically, feeling controlled? That doesn't sit well, does it?
No, it triggers this natural pushback. We want autonomy, independence. When someone tries to control us, we resist. It's almost instinctual.
So it's this deep-seated need, but the problem, like the theory points out, is trying to control things, especially other people, that are just fundamentally outside our direct influence. It backfires.
That's a huge part of it. It becomes a major source of stress, frustration.
Yeah.
It can even push people away in relationships.
Yeah, you try to dictate someone's path.
And they just dig their heels in. All that energy you pour into trying to force an outcome, it often creates the exact opposite of what you wanted. Resistance, not motivation.
Okay, so let them is about releasing that control over others. But then there's this other crucial piece the sources bring up. Let me. What's that about?
Ah, yes. Let me is the really empowering flip side. If let them is about releasing control over others, let me is about turning your focus and energy towards what is actually within your sphere of influence.
Like what sort of things?
Like your own values, your actions, how you react to things, how you decide to spend your time and energy. It's about owning your part.
So taking responsibility for your own life instead of trying to micromanage everyone else's.
Exactly. Think about holiday planning. Dealing with family members who might have different expectations or be a bit difficult.
Oh, the holiday pressure cooker. We've all been there trying to keep everyone happy.
Right. The sort of old way might be to twist yourself into knots, trying to please everyone, often at your own expense, sacrificing your own peace.
Definitely done that.
But the let me approach says, okay, shift the focus inward. Make decisions that align with your values. Manage your emotions about the situation, regardless of how others might react.
So if you do decide to change your plans, it's because you choose to, not because you're trying to make someone else feel bad or avoid conflict.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's about making it a conscious choice for yourself, not about making someone else the villain or letting their reaction dictate your life.
That's a really powerful distinction. Okay, so let them creates the space and let me empowers us to fill that space intentionally with our own stuff. Let's dig into how this works in relationships. Adult friendships, for example, they can get complicated.
They really can.
Yeah.
The sources talk about this thing called the great scattering that tends to happen in adulthood.
Big great scattering.
Yeah. Friendships kind of shift from being a group sport, like in school or college where you're all in the same place, same activities, to more of an individual sport.
Right. Life changes. People move, careers take off, families start. The landscape totally shifts.
Exactly. That constant proximity, the shared routines that used to just naturally nurture friendships, they start to fade.
Yeah.
Maintaining connections takes more deliberate effort.
And this is where let them and let me really come into play, I guess.
Absolutely. You need to let your friends navigate their own lives, their changing priorities, recognize that paths diverge, and usually it's not personal. It's just life.
Okay, that's the let them part, accepting the change.
And then the crucial part, let me. You need to let me be proactive. Let me cultivate the friendships you value. Let me reach out and make the effort.
So less passive waiting or feeling resentful, more taking the initiative. The sources mention 3 pillars of adult friendship. What are those?
Right. The 3 pillars: proximity, timing, and energy. Proximity is just, physical closeness.
Yeah.
Timing relates to being in similar life stages or having compatible schedules. And energy is that sort of connection, that vibe, the ease in the relationship.
Okay, proximity, timing, energy.
And when friendships change or fade, it's often because one or more of those pillars isn't as strong anymore. Like proximity, a friend moves across the country, it's just harder. Timing, you have a newborn, your friend is traveling the world. Finding common ground or time can be tough.
Yeah, very different life phases.
And energy sometimes, honestly, the connection just dims. Like a dimmer switch, it wasn't a big blow up, it just faded.
Understanding those pillars helps you not take it so personally, maybe?
Exactly. It helps you see the natural ebb and flow.
Yeah.
And it empowers you to focus on the let me. Like, okay, can I bridge the proximity gap with calls? Can I adjust my expectations around timing? Or do I need to accept that the energy has shifted?
And there was a personal story shared, right? About moving somewhere new and feeling really isolated.
Yes, the author talks about that loneliness after moving and realizing she couldn't just sit back and wait for friends to magically appear.
The let me moment.
Precisely. It required actively reaching out. Let me start conversations. Let me put myself out there. Even something simple like introducing herself to a neighbor became a real turning point.
It really underscores that adult friendships often mean you have to go first. You have to create the community, organize the get-togethers that used to happen more organically. It's a shift from waiting to initiating.
Definitely.
Okay, switching gears slightly. Another place we try to control is motivating other people. Wanting a partner to change a habit or a coworker to do things differently. What's the let them take on motivation?
The core message here is pretty blunt, actually.
Mm.
People only really truly change when they want to, when they have that internal drive.
So all the nagging, the pressure, the subtle hints, probably not working.
Usually no. It often backfires. It creates resistance, not genuine change. It's another example of trying to control something that's ultimately up to someone else.
So instead of making them change, it shifts to influence. That's the let me part.
Yes, exactly. The let me is about influence, not control. Let me step back from applying pressure. By doing that, you actually create space. Maybe they'll find their own motivation. Let me model the behavior I want to see. Let me be supportive if they do decide to change. But the actual decision, the effort,
Hmm.
that has to be theirs.
That can be a hard one, though. Especially when you care about someone and see them heading down a path you think is wrong. The instinct is to jump in.
It really is. But that instinct can easily cross the line into trying to control.
And this connects to managing other people's emotional reactions too, right? The sources stress that as adults, their emotions are their job, not ours.
Yes. It's so easy to get caught in the trap of trying to soothe someone else's anger or fix their sadness or manage their disappointment, especially if their reaction impacts us.
We feel responsible somehow.
We do. But the let them theory encourages stepping back,
Yeah.
allowing people to have their feelings, even the uncomfortable ones, without you taking ownership,
Hmm.
saying mentally, let them react, let them be angry, let them be disappointed. It can be incredibly freeing.
It breaks that cycle of getting sucked into their emotional drama.
Exactly. It's about healthy emotional boundaries.
Okay. Now, something else that eats up a ton of mental energy? Comparison, jealousy. How does let them fit in there?
Well, comparison and jealousy almost always stem from focusing on what other people have or are doing things totally outside your control.
Scrolling through Instagram thinking everyone else has it figured out?
Precisely. The let them theory says recognize how much energy that drains. Let them have their life, their successes, their stuff, and redirect that focus back to your journey. That's the let me. Let me focus on my own goals. Let me appreciate what I have.
One source had a really interesting reframe for jealousy, something about an invitation.
Yes. Reframing jealousy as an invitation from your future self.
Okay, tell me more.
The idea is, instead of seeing someone else's success and feeling lacking, see it as a signpost. Maybe that jealousy is highlighting something you desire, an ambition you haven't pursued. It shows you what's possible.
So it's less, why them and not me, and more, oh, maybe that's something I want too.
Exactly. It shifts from resentment to potential inspiration.
And the story about the friend's home renovation really drives this home.
It does. The initial pang of envy over this friend's gorgeous new house wasn't really about the house itself. Digging deeper, it revealed the author's own neglected creative ambitions.
Ah, so the jealousy was a clue.
Yes, it became a let me moment. Let me take responsibility for my own dreams. Let me start taking steps towards my goals instead of just envying someone else's.
That's a powerful shift, using envy as fuel for your own let me actions. Okay, we've talked relationships, motivation. What about just day-to-day stress?
The principle is exactly the same. So much daily stress comes from things we just can't control. A coworker having a bad day and being grumpy, traffic jams, unexpected delays, a family member's criticism.
The little annoyances that pile up?
Right. Applying let them here is about consciously choosing not to get pulled down by those things. Let them be grumpy. Let the traffic be bad. It's about rising above what you can't influence and focusing on your own response, your own well-being, protecting your internal state.
Don't let external stuff hijack your inner peace. Okay, this is all super helpful, but it requires looking inward too, doesn't it? How do we spot our own controlling tendencies? Sometimes they're subtle.
Self-awareness is definitely key. You need to start paying attention. Notice those moments when you feel that spike of frustration or irritation, or when your energy just plummets because things aren't going the way they should, or someone isn't acting how you expect.
Those feelings are clues.
They're often signals that you're trying to exert control where it's not needed or not effective.
And that prom story comes back again, the author admitting her own urge to control the planning because of her past experiences, her discomfort with how laid back her son was being.
Exactly. Recognizing your triggers, understanding why you feel the urge to step in and micromanage, that's the first critical step.
And then,
Then it's about consciously practicing let them in those small everyday moments. Your family doesn't want to come to an event you planned. Okay, let them make their choice. Someone handles a task differently than you would. Let them do it their way.
it sounds like an ongoing practice. Self-observation, then conscious release.
It really is.
Now, the sources laid out 3 specific practical ways to apply this theory. Let's run through those.
Okay, the first one is detachment. Using let them to intentionally create some emotional or mental space between you and whatever struggle is happening related to someone else's actions or your own fixed ideas about how things should be.
Like creating a buffer zone.
Exactly. That Instagram quote mentioned about feeling inadequate because of others' expectations. That's where detachment helps. You detach from the power those external expectations have over your internal state. Let them have their expectations. I don't have to absorb them.
Protects your peace of mind. Okay, what's number two?
Number two is let them do it. This is about consciously releasing the need to always jump in, take over, fix things, or rescue people.
Resisting the urge to swoop in.
Yes. Give others the space to take responsibility themselves. Let them learn from their own experiences, even their mistakes. Let them figure things out. It could be letting your partner plan the vacation, letting your kids handle their own school projects, letting a colleague manage their own workload without hovering.
Trusting them, basically, and letting go of the need for it to be done your way.
Precisely.
And the third, practical application.
The third one is huge. It's let them be themselves. This means truly accepting people for who they are right now, in this moment. Not who you wish they were, not their potential, but who they actually are.
Oof. That hits home. That idea of being in love with the potential instead of the real person.
It's a common trap.
Yeah.
This application is about letting go of trying to change people or mold them or constantly focus on what you think they could be. The example given was learning to accept a partner's different processing style instead of constantly wishing they were faster or different.
So seeing and valuing the person as they are, flaws and all, and stopping the exhausting project of trying to renovate them.
Exactly. It frees up so much energy.
And the sources suggest there's a kind of gift in this, when you give others that freedom.
Yes, the gift you receive back is often your own peace and ease. When you stop trying to control people, when you let them be themselves, the tension often decreases. They might feel safer, less defensive, more able to be authentic with you.
So it can actually improve the relationship dynamic.
It absolutely can. That story about letting the daughter just have her meltdown without trying to fix it or shut it down, the author felt liberated, and presumably the daughter felt heard. It's a mutual benefit.
Allowing space for authentic emotion. That makes sense. Okay, so to really help integrate this, are there specific questions we can ask ourselves in the moment when we feel that controlling urge bubble up?
Yes, 3 really good coaching questions. First, what am I truly afraid of right now? Get to the root fear beneath the need for control.
Okay, what's the fear?
Second, specifically, what am I trying to control? Pinpoint it
Yeah.
with their decision, their feeling, the outcome. Get really clear.
Mean the thing.
Exactly. And third, realistically, what's the absolute worst that could happen if I let go?
Yeah.
Often when you actually spell out the worst case scenario, it's not as catastrophic as your anxiety is making it seem.
Puts it in perspective. Those are great practical questions. Okay, as we start to wrap up this deep dive, what's the main takeaway, the core message you hope people walk away with from this let them theory?
I think the central idea is that let them, especially when paired with its partner let me, is just such a powerful tool. It's a pathway to getting your personal power back, to seriously cutting down on stress and building healthier, more genuine relationships.
It's about shifting focus.
It really is. Shifting focus from trying to wrestle with the uncontrollable other people to actively taking charge of what you can influence. Your own thoughts, your actions, your values.
And it's crucial to remember, like we said, this isn't about becoming cold or indifferent to the people in your life.
No, not at all. It's actually about fostering healthier boundaries. It's about respecting that others are on their own journey. They have their own lessons to learn, their own choices to make. You allow them their experiences, even the messy ones, without making it your responsibility to fix or manage.
So for you listening right now, as you go about your week, here's something to think about. Can you identify just one area, maybe one relationship, one recurring frustration where you realize you might be trying just a little too hard to control things, to steer the ship? Just experiment. Try consciously applying let them in that one specific situation. See what happens. Notice if releasing that grip brings even a little bit more peace, a bit more energy, and really reflect. How might shifting your focus to your own actions, your own values, how might that ripple outwards? It could lead to some really positive, maybe unexpected changes in your relationships and just your overall well-being. It's really an invitation, isn't it, to engage with life differently, centering your own agency and finding a bit more inner calm.